Annie Collins here for Lavinia World. Today we'll be creating this lovely moon fairy card. Let's go over some of the products we'll be using to create our card today. The first one stamp is called Moon Fairy, and it's LAV041. The second stamp we'll be using is the sentiment stamp. It's called Talk to the Moon, LAV518. Now these are our new Fairy-Scape 6x6 pattern paper. Basically, they're just beautiful backgrounds pre-done for you. I'm going to open the package to show you that they're single-sided, but they're nice weight cardstock. Here's some of the patterns that you'll receive in your package once you purchase it. This one has little cracked details. My camera wouldn't pick it up. I love all the pre-done backgrounds, so making cards can be pretty quick. I'm going to set those aside real quick. This is one of the Fairy-Scape background pattern papers, and I went ahead and cut it down to an A2 size, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But I cut it a smidge smaller so I can put a layering cardstock behind it. The other thing we'll be using is the Tim Holtz Hocus Pocus Stencil, which is a beautiful swirl of stars. Here's my layering cardstock, which is a medium blue, and this is cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 to match our card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's a white heavyweight cardstock. The other things we'll be using is Nouveau Glitter Embossing Powder and Silver Moonlight, VersaMark Ink, an embossing powder, VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and some fairy hugs, and this one is called Arctic. Let's see if my camera will focus so you can see the beautiful shimmer that's in here. It's blue, but it picks up some little bit of purple and green. It's just gorgeous. We'll be using this for our fairy wings. Okay, now that we went over all the products, let's get started on our card. I brought out my platform, and I'm going to go ahead and place my stamps where I want them. I have the little fairy in the opening of that moonlit background, and the stamp just above, the stamp above with the sentiment. I'm going to use the VersaFine Clair in Nocturne to stamp my image and my sentiment. Giving it a nice rub. I don't want to push too hard because I don't want it to get blurry. I missed a little spot there by the wings. I'm going to re-ink it and press it down. Then I'm going to heat set this because VersaFine Clair ink stays wet longer. So you can see it's so shiny wet here. So I want to heat set it. So I'm going to do this off camera real quick once I show you. Okay, so I'm back. So I messed up my sentiment. I stuck my fingers in it by accident. So I went ahead and stamped it again on some die cuts with a view light blue shimmer cardstock. So now we're going to concentrate on our background with our stars. I'm going to put some of this embossing anti-static powder on our card panel. I'm going to place my stencil on top. And I want to go around the fairy, not on the fairy. So I'm going to take this little cube of VersaMark ink, and I'm just going to pounce it up and down so the ink goes through the stencil. Normally you won't be able to see this ink because it's a clear ink, but since I'm putting it onto this pattern paper, what it does, it makes it darker. It basically watermarks it. But it's a nice sticky ink, so our embossing powder will stick to it. And I'm going around the fairy, making sure I don't put any stars on her. I don't mind a star or two being by where her stars are, but not. So you can see it here, so that is wet and shimmery. Now I'm going to open this piece of copy paper so I can dump some of this glitter embossing powder on top. Shake off the excess. Missed a few spots. And I'm going to look, even with that, since the VersaClair ink takes so long to dry, a little bit stuck on my fairy. So I'm using the soft bristle brush to remove any of the excess embossing powder. I'm going to funnel this back in before I spill it all over my desk. Okay. We're going to set this aside and we're going to heat set our stars. I'm going to bring in my heat tool. I always heat, especially this type of embossing powder, which is glittery, from behind to make sure it sticks to the cardstock first. And then I start heating it on top. You know when it's completely set, when it's completely melted and it's nice and shiny. So you see it's like a dull, and then it goes into that bright, shiny. That's when it's set. So I'm giving this a quick run through here with my heat tool. Getting all those little ones. And I'll hit it one more time from the back so it doesn't warp too much. Okay. And that fancy tool I'm using so my fingers don't get burned is a clothespin. I'm going to get my camera to focus so you can see all those shimmery stars. Alright. Now, I'm going to clear everything out of the way so we can work on our fairy's wings. For the fairy wings, we're going to use, again, the Fairy Hugs glitter, and this one's called Arctic. And we're going to apply a little bit of art glitter glue to her wings. Now I do this by putting small little dots on the wings and then just smearing it with my finger. If you're not cool with smearing glue with your finger, you can use a cotton swab or a paintbrush. Now I'm going to open my little glitter hugs here. My fairy hugs. Fairy hugs glitter, not glitter hugs. And I'm going to press it into her wings and then dust off any of the extra. If I missed a spot, I just go back in, do the same process. Dab a little more glue, sprinkle some more of the Fairy Hugs glitter, and sweep away any of the extra. Now we're going to close the glitter before I spill it on my desk. Now we're going to place our card panel, which is this right here with the fairy. Look how beautiful those wings are. Onto our blue layering cardstock. Moving everything out of the way. And yes, there is tons of glitter on my desk. Alright, so I'm going to use this art glitter glue to adhere our front card panel to the layering panel because it's warped a little bit from the heat tool. Now what I was pointing out there is that you'll have, since they're white core paper, you'll have a white edge. It doesn't bother me, but if it does, you can of course ink your edge. Again, I'm going to adhere my card panel to my card base with some more of this art glitter glue. This will be easy because they're the same size. So we have a nice little, oh, I accidentally bumped off some glitter, so I'm going to fix her wing real quick. So we have a nice little edge of blue cardstock that makes our finishing touch to our card. Now remember I messed up my sentiment, so I'm going to trim this little piece down. And this is die cuts with a view light blue shimmer cardstock. Just trim it. And yes, I know I do not have a guard on my trimmer. I dropped it and it came off, so I have to put it back in. I'm just going to trim it straight here, and then I'm going to place it across the top of our card with some foam adhesive to give a nice dimension to our card. Trim a little extra, get everything out of our way, and I have some thin foam adhesive. And put that on the back and then release the backing paper. And my sentiment is a little bit longer than my card. I'm not worried about it. I'm just going to trim it off once I adhere it to the card. I'm going to line it up here. Get it as straight as possible. And then trim off any of the extra that's sticking out. And now our card is complete. So let me show you all that shimmer. So here's what we used. Again, the 6x6 Fairy-Scape pattern papers, the Tim Holtz star stencil called Hocus Pocus. Our sentiment is called Talk to the Moon. And our little fairy, which is called the Moon Fairy. I'm going to put my card here so you can get another look at it. Move this over. And I'm going to show you also, we use the Fairy Hugs glitter in Arctic. Here it is. And our new roll embossing powder in Silver Moonlight, along with a VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink and VersaMark ink to create our whole thing, our whole card. So I'm glad you stopped by today. I hope you found some inspiration. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell so you can get more inspiration from the design team. They're making some beautiful projects. Thank you for being here, and I hope you have a nice day.